Welcome, everybody. I am Pat O'Cats, and I'm going to talk about my experience at the Houston Regionals. It was an amazing event, especially for a first event in North America. A lot of great things to talk about. I just want to talk through my experience, take you along the journey, show you a bunch of behind the scene footage, show you some of the cool swag I got out of it. But without further ado, let's talk about the event. So day one, flew in from Washington, came in, got to my hotel. The hotel was attached to the convention center, which was very nice. However, what I found out very quickly is it's attached to the convention center, but the opposite end of the convention center, the George R. Brown Convention Center, from where the actual event was being taken place. So you had to walk like 3 football fields. So the first day walking in, I'm walking past 3 football fields of people standing in line to get into the venue. And I'm like, oh no. But I happen to have a premium pass. And because I had that, I got in a separate line, which was still long, but obviously way shorter than the 3 football field line. And so that opened first, and I think it was like 15 minutes early or whatever, which there was no way my line was going to get in by that. So by the time I got to the front of the line, it's like everyone was kind of going in, but still didn't have to wait in the giant line. So great. And also there was a lot of like really cool people that were hanging out that I saw, a lot of streamers, Casanova, Jibs from the UK, and George, like a bunch of people that I'd seen online but hadn't met in person or seen in person. And they're all super cool dudes. So get to the convention center, and it's an awesome entrance. Like you come in, you have the Riftbound logo, you walk through, they have light up cards of Spirit Forge, of Origins, and immediately entering into the venue, there was like a merch store, and you got a 10% discount that you could use. They had a bunch of rare statues. The big ticket item was the Worlds bundles, so you could actually buy one and get one there in person. Now, a lot of people bought them to sell them, to flip them from the event, which that's a separate topic that I'll probably talk about a little bit somewhere in this video. But there was a lot of scalping going on, obviously. And so people were buying those and walking around with those. And then at the same time, they also had multiple vendors that were there that were all selling, cards that you could pick up, deck boxes, sleeves, but they were selling boxes at MSRP. So one of the strategy when you first got in was to actually get in the vendor line, and you would go through the vendor line, you would buy a box from one vendor, there was 4 vendors, and you would just hop the vendors in line and get your 4 MSRP boxes, is what a lot of people were doing. So typically what you'd see is a person with a Worlds bundle, and then stacked on top of it was a bunch of boxes. And they would walk around and they'd be like, well, now that this is what I'm carrying around for the rest of the day, because there's like no bags or anything like that. So you would either have to go back to your hotel if you were lucky that your hotel was close enough, walk those 3 football fields back. Luckily my girlfriend was with me, so she just kind of carried or like camped a table. I carried most of the stuff, but she camped the table, after I threw stuff in my backpack and whatnot. They also had along there, though, they had really cool displays. The displays showed off some of the merch store stuff, but it also showed off the champion trophy. It showed off the best of cards, so you could get like a close-up view of those. They looked really cool, really amazing. I actually think some of the cooler ones were the Orphan Ground champions, and mainly because for those cards, like there's no cool version of Master Yi or Annie. Like these are the only way to bling your deck, so I feel like they're more valuable than, you can get an overnumbered signature Ari card. Like, yes, I still want the best of Ari card. We'll get into that too. But at the same time, like you have something else to like bling out your deck if that's what you want to do. And so they're cool prizes, really cool prizes. And it's cool if they just had them there, you could see them. Next up, they had the prize wall, and the prize wall was really cool. So the prize wall had a bunch of stuff, but that was the main place you would go, because I had a premium entry badge. Basically, the reason I got it was not because that's why I was going in. I was like, yes, I want the premium badge. I got it because when I went into the site, there were no tickets, and then one random premium badge opened up and I bought it instantly. And so that's how I got that. But the cool thing is so I'll show off some of the prizes. So I got this card sheet. You get a little card back sheet. It's blank on the other side, but it's uncut card backs. And then it comes with a little certificate of authenticity. You got a number 24 right here. Anybody really likes the number 24? I mean, I think that the idea for these was to get these signed by devs and that kind of stuff. I think most players just had them sign buff cards and token cards and all that kind of stuff. You also got a Misfortune promo card, which has a little promo code down there, and it has like the Nexus Knights foiling. So I actually like this foiling. It's a lot brighter than the normal foiling that you will see in the sets. You also got a box of Origins with it. So a box on top of that, which, almost like these days, the secondary market, that was basically the price of the ticket. So, hey, awesome. And then you also got this really cool alt art, basically Misfortune mat. The thing I like about it has regional qualifiers on it. And the other cool part about it is that it actually still has the score tracker on it, which I really like. So it was cool to like get another mat. I already brought like 3 mats with me to the event. I have an Ari one and a Jinx one. I'll probably show those off later in equipment. But anyways, yeah, so that's kind of what you got for being a premium competitor. However, also along with the card back sheet, you were supposed to get a frame was the initial thing on the ticket, but they said like, hey, you can get a frame or you can get two prize wall tickets. And I immediately was like, I'll take the prize wall tickets because I can buy the cheapo frame anywhere, like to fit this thing, whatever. Like, great. But the reason I want the prize wall tickets is because, and this is going to be like a main topic kind of the event and stuff coming out of it, was there were metal cards there. And the metal cards were only 10 tickets, but essentially they only had 35 of each metal card. And they gave out 10 each day and 15 on the last day. So basically, if you wanted a specific legend, you had to get 10 tickets and then you had to turn them in and be one of the first 10 people each day or 15 on Sunday to get yours with the specific legend you wanted to. Now, the thing is like these metal cards are playable. They're not as cool, obviously, as the best of prizing and have that prestige, but they're currently one of 35. So unless they have these at other events that are going along the way, like, yes, the population is going to increase, but for right now, it's a 1 of 35 metal card. And so again, along with the world scalping, like the scalping was high. Like there was lots of talk of like people were buying tickets. The price was rising. It was like $70 a ticket, $100 a ticket, because people were like, hey, if I can pay, $500 to buy 10 tickets from people, which is a lot of money, but then I can take this metal card that's 1 of 35 and I can flip it for $2,000. I think I've seen some sell for $2,000 or $3,000. Then boom, like pay for my trip, that kind of stuff. And that felt like a lot of the energy from certain people that were there. Like a lot of the spectators were people there that were basically just buying stuff to flip. So that was an interesting thing that going into I wasn't expecting, and I didn't see this. And like I recognized that when I saw there was a prize for like a standard metal card, I was like, that's really cool, but there'll probably be like a couple hundred of each or 100 of each or something like that. Or like it would have been cool if they were given out as prizes for like, hey, I'll talk about that in prizing, but basically let's just say that the prize wall was metal legend cards, and then everything else like didn't really matter. You could get packs, you get boxes, you could get a few statues, but you could also buy those in the merch store. This was like the exclusive like hot stuff, and it was 10 tickets. So everyone very quickly was running to do side events. So speaking of side events, they had to sign up, and on the first day, it was all you had to sign up in person and go through all these booths and registrations and stand in really long lines. The second and third day, it was all online. Like you could register for it like you would the Nexus night on the event site, et cetera, et cetera. So day one, you had to stay in these lines. The lines were very confusing. People were getting kicked out of certain lines to sign up for an event, and then they'd find out that didn't work anymore, and they'd have to get back in the big line. Like there was a lot of mess in the lines in day one, which was unfortunate. But I went through and I was like, hey, you know what? Like originally I kind of got in, I was like, maybe I'll sign up for the pre-qualifier. I didn't really care about the buy, but I just cared about like, hey, like I want to get in some more reps before I have to play the real thing. But then I was like, hey, but I really kind of want a metal Ari cards. Then I was like, you know what? Like maybe I play inside events. But when I got to the front of the line, they wouldn't sign me up for any other event. They had to sign me up for the pre-qualifier. So I signed up for the pre-qualifier. And that's where like kind of the day took a little bit of a turn because so we signed up for this pre-qualifier. It takes so long to get people in and sign up that they split it into two. I'm in basically the super try hard version one, the first one. And I get up to my first opponent, super cool guy. His name is Angel. He's from Puerto Rico. Came in with a bunch of other people. Super awesome dude. He's playing Annie. Like I get off to a good start. I get about halfway through the game. And then halfway through the first game, a person walks up and they're just like, oh, like I'm supposed to be at a table. And they're like, and they say our table. And I'm like, that's crazy. Cause I checked the app. I remember looking and being like, oh, I'm, 176 and 177 was the table behind me. And I saw that and I was like, oh, 176. Oh, it's the next one up here. And I sat down and like signed all my deck list, everything, all this stuff. And it turns out that like, I don't know if because he was late, I don't know if they added him in late or like what happened with it. But essentially the way it all shakes out is that he takes my spot. I have to go to the table behind me. I go to the table behind me. That guy doesn't have an opponent. And they tell me that I get a game loss, which, you know what, maybe there's a world where I just read the numbers wrong. That never happened again, obviously. Lesson learned. Better learned today. But I'm pretty sure that something funky happened and I'll get into that later with their matching, that like bumped me out or something like that. But anyways, I get a match loss and I'm and I get paired into a Kaiser player with a match loss, and I'm going second game, what would be our first game, but it's game 2. And I lose, and I'm pretty salty. I'm gonna be honest, I'm a little salty about it. And I was like, you know what? Like, I don't like, I don't want to do this. Like, I want to get tickets because I want this metal Ari card. And so I actually drop after round one. I'm like, screw it. Like, I don't want to deal with this. So I go over, I try to sign up for a sealed event, which I'm like pretty good at because I've done a bunch of sealeds. Don't get into that. So then I sign up for a 1v1 tournament. I sign up for a 2v2 tournament. And then I do the Super Nexus night that's at the end. The 1v1 tournament, I go up against MF Aurora deck that the guy is borrowing from a friend, and he just like keeps hitting like mine splitters and taking out all the valuable cards I have to stop him on curve and get Auroras, and it's painful. And I lose in game 3, and so like that tells me a little bit. I play the 2v2. We lose that one in the close one, although Master Yi is broken in 2v2. If you play 2v2, Master Yi's ability works for everybody's units, so play Master Yi. Master Yi Ari was really strong because it's like everyone got +2, and then if my units, when they attacked into me, they would get another -1. You can also stack the mask that gives you +1 if you're individual between both of them, and then you can have like a +8 to a unit that's guarding a thing solo, and it's unbreakable. So pro tips for 2v2. But anyways, so I'm kind of down because I lost the main event, and wacky stuff happened, and so I'm tilted from that. I scrub out my 1v1, I scrub out my 2v2. I go to the Nexus night, and I'm just like, just hope I have fun. Game 1, I play against a Jinx player, and man, he just hits everything. He's super mega death rocketing me. He's playing Immortal Phoenix, and he pulled his seal off the rip with the Immortal Phoenix. And so even though I'm able to get rid of stuff and I'm doing some good trades, he's still just bringing stuff back and using the Jinx thing. And it's only best of 1. So I lose that one. And at this point, I'm just like, am I just going to lose all weekend? Did I fly all the way here just to get my butt kicked? And lo and behold, it turns out I go to the next one, and I end up playing 2 Volibear players, and I win both of those. But it's cool because I also get to get more reps into Volibear. There's not a lot of people that play Volibear locally. So it was cool to play different styles of Volibear. I played like Aurora or Big Volibear, and then I also played against a like everything that's 5 might Volibear kind of thing. And they were very nice opponents. Play through all them. Then I play a Lee Sin in the 4th and final round. And at this point, I have 9 tickets. And so I basically go to him and go, hey, you know what? Like, are you down to just split tickets? I had a 1 ticket from like, I think a participation reward for one of the events. And so I was able to like use that ticket to, I was like, here, I'll give you the 1, you give me the 2, we'll split, and I'll be at 10 tickets. So play that game, and I just crush him. Didn't have to split it all, but like super nice dude. Again, more casual, best of 1, but it at least felt good to win some games, so that I got to my 10 tickets, and I felt like I could actually win some games and play. I was actually still playing well, or could find myself and get on a streak, and hopefully carry that into day 2. So day 1 ended. It was pretty late, but get back to the hotel. My girlfriend was super awesome, and she ordered food for us, and so we had food like already set up, ate. But the thing is I really wanted the metal Ari card. And the thing about that is, because it was getting scalped and all these people were really into it, and it was so limited quantity, there were murmurs of people that were like, I'm going to wake up at 4 a.m. and I'm going to go stand in line. And so my girlfriend is the most amazing person in the world. She's basically like, you know what? I'm going to get up at 4 a.m. because she's a night owl. She's like, I'll get up at 4 a.m. and I'll just go out there and I'll camp out and see what I can do. So because I'm like, I can't get up that early, because if I get up that early, then I'm going to be tired for the tournament. I'm just going to scrub out, and I don't want to do that. I came here to play in the tournament and do my best. So she gets up, she goes, and I don't know what happened. So I wake up in the morning, I get a text, and she's like, I'm the best girlfriend in the world. I'm like, oh, really? So I grab all my stuff together. I take a shower, grab all my stuff together, go down, get her a coffee, obviously. And I walk down, and she is now like 4th in line, and she's hanging out with these other guys, and they've been sitting out. They've all been camping out since 4 or 5 a.m. And she had got in line because we were attached from the hotel to the convention center. She was able to get in a little bit earlier than the other main doors that everybody came in, and some other people were already in there. And so she's 4th in line. So I'm like, awesome, 4th in line. I'm for sure going to get it, is what I thought. So the catch is that security was a fiasco for this. And because of this metal card stuff, people had shown up in very early. They were supposed to let all the competitors in at 9 a.m. because the tournament was supposedly supposed to start at 9:30 a.m. Logistically, that's not possible. Everyone has to turn in deck lists, all this kind of stuff, and even passing them out ahead of time just to get, 1,300, 1,400 competitors through. On top of the fact that there's spectators that want to get in to get the medal cards, and so they're hiding their badges. And like, I was on one side of there's basically like two lines that kind of enter in, and I was on the premium side, or what was the premium side the next day. But today they were just like opening up lanes, and they were going to try to have as many lanes so they could get people through. But it was all supposed to be just competitors. Well, that wasn't happening. There were spectators. They were all crowding. Like, some of them were like halfway through the metal detectors before they were even letting people out. Like, half an hour ahead of time, people are like already like, they're getting ready. Like, people are passing off backpacks, and I'm like, we're gonna have to run up. I was like, I'm gonna have to run up escalators. I'm gonna have to run to this. I didn't think that was a good thing. I was like, I'm fourth in line. I'll be able to go in and go up, and sure, I can like kind of go along, but like, I'm not gonna have to run. It's not gonna be like Black Friday. And little did I know, it did very quickly as it became more time. I was like, this is Black Friday. So I have all my stuff out. Like, I pass it through security. I get my stuff. I quickly like, and I'm not really running. I'm just trying to like get to the escalator and get the escalator, because there's one escalator up. So once I'm on the escalator and go up, people can't go by me. But as I do that, security behind me is yelling at people not to run. People at the top of the escalator can hear people yelling not to run, and the people behind me on the escalator are yelling for me to run. So mixed signals here. But I'm like, all right, screw it. I gotta go. So I quickly get up. I weave my way through the maze at the beginning of the thing to get around and to go get in line. And mind you, I was fourth in line at the entrance. And when I get to the line, there's like 20 people ahead of me. And the reason there's 20 people ahead of me is because there were people, because the security wasn't necessarily prepped on badges. There was like exhibitors. There was people that were friends with, potentially staff and other stuff like that. Well, I know that there are people that are friends with staff. They were basically got to get in early. And so they got to get in the line early to get their medal cards. And then like everyone that had camped out at 4 a.m., you're racing, you're free for all. And so I get in line, and as I'm going through the line, and I'm in my head, I'm like, my girlfriend woke up at 4 a.m. to help me get this. Like, I have to get this Ari card. And I keep hearing murmurs in the line that all the Aris are gone and all the Kaises are gone already, which in my head, I'm like, that can't be true, because I like literally just started. So like maybe yesterday they all disappeared instantly because vendors were buying tickets too and scalping stuff. But I was like, all right, like hopefully it's there. As I'm going through, eventually I hear like what people want. As I'm going through, people are grabbing the Aris, and I'm like, oh, okay, there's still an Ari left. And as I get to the front of, there's one person ahead of me and there's one guy behind me that are like buddies, and they were like the spectators that weren't supposed to be in, but they're there because they're going to get the mail cards and they're going to scalp them. Like that's why they're there, and they're Russian. The one scalper guy's ahead of me, and he like, I don't know if he like just I don't know what's going on, but he basically looks like he's going to get Kaisa, and his buddy behind me yells, "No, get the Ari, because right as I get up there, the guy at the counter says there's one Ari left. And the guy's like deciding what he wants to get, and his buddy behind me yells, Ari. And so he picks the Ari, and I'm dismayed. And normally I would never be a confrontational person, like, especially, like at the end of the day, like, yes, it's a valuable piece of thing, but for me personally, because my girlfriend spent all the effort, because I care about, I'm not going to flip the card. Like, I just want the card for me, like as a collector of Ari and someone that is going for the best of Ari and really loves the legend in this game. And so he gets it, and then I turn to them. I'm like, hey, like, my girlfriend was up till 4 a.m. All I want is this card. Like, this person wasn't even supposed to be let in here. Is there anything we can do? And they pass me off to their manager. But like, when I first did this, the guy was there, and I was like, he's a spectator. He shouldn't even be in here. And the guy behind me then runs in front of him and is like, don't harass my son, or whatever like that, which it was weird because the way he did it was almost like jokingly. It wasn't like he was actually trying to be confrontational with me. Like, there was none of those vibes. And I was like, whatever, guy, you do your thing. Like, I don't care about you. And like, I'm just trying to make an appeal here to hopefully, like, get the right thing done, hopefully. And they passed me off to the manager lady, and I explained my story, and she's like, hold on one moment. Let me see. And so she goes to the back, and I'm waiting for a little bit like there. And I'm like, man, like, if I don't get this Ari, like, in my head, I'm like, I'm gonna have to get another one like Kaisa or Yi or something, and it's still cool, but like I just don't care about those legends as much. And like I'm probably gonna, if I want an Ari, then I'm gonna have to sell it because I'm not gonna do this again. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna do the bull run again and you know do that thing. So I wait a little bit, and then she comes back out and she says, "Hey, you know what? Here you go." And so boom, we got there. We got there. So I got my metal Ari. It's like it is a very cool card. And one of the chase things that I wanted to get coming out of this event, obviously I want the best of Ari going in at this point, but this was one of the chase things that I wanted. And shout out to my girlfriend because she made it happen. Then I had to make it happen at the last moment because shenanigans. So that all happens. And then after that adrenaline rush, then it comes into the actual tournament day. So the way the tournament works is, you know, we're sitting there, we're waiting. Obviously, it starts late because getting everybody in, getting all the deck lists or whatever. But I feel, you know, at least a little bit uplifted after the previous day. And so I go and I sit down for game one. And game one is a really nice family man type dude. And the thing I like about Best Uprising is that it encourages a diverse field. And it also gives hope to people that maybe aren't like pro TCG players that, you know, it was a very stacked top 64 in this tournament at the end, but like it gives hope that like you can make a run and like you can win best of, you can win, you can do these side quests, and you know anyone can kind of enter and have a chance to win. It feels very much like World Series of Poker felt at one point, you know, right? So first guy is Volibear player, and he has a deck that he's put together. But luckily, I got to play 2 Volibear decks the previous night and the next night. And yes, it was more casual, but I pretty much know that I need to be the aggressor against this deck because it wants to play bigger units. And because of that, you know, I'm using my Sprite Mothers, I'm using my other techniques, and I'm able to get in early. I'm playing around Sky Splitter because I know that as soon as he plays and ate my unit or something like that, he's going to try to get in on that. And I, you know, my finishing move in game 2 basically is I play a Watcher, but it reduces the might of, I forget what he had. He had something that was like really high might that was in there, but it reduced it. So he still had to pay 3. The Sky Splitter's cost is reduced by the power of the highest power of the unit you have out. And so the unit power was 5 instead of 8. So he had to pay 3, which cut down enough runes that I was able to get through all of his removal, capture, and hold for the win. So got a good win to start the day, which felt really, really good. Round 2, this is where I was like, okay, like we're gonna test. We're gonna test because Annie, in my opinion, was one of the decks that had a really good shot of winning. You know, it was the new deck along with Kaisa and Yi that had a really good shot. I think that Set, if you could play correctly and get the right matchups, you could have a chance. But I think that Annie was really the rogue deck. As I was walking around the day before, it was like, it felt like half the room was Annie players. So I'm like, all right, let's see how we can do into this. And first game I lose to an arena's greatest, you know, that's bread and butter. And Annie just gets off to a really hot start, and I can't really like catch up. In game 2 and 3, I come back. Game 3, I get him to pop Vi early, basically to try to break an Ari Alluring hold, and I have the Rune Prison for her to pop her back, and he can't actually break it, and I win. And so I go up 2-0 to start the day, which is super great. Round 3 starts, and I'm against a Darius player. I win game 1. I outplay him pretty handily, and I'm feeling really good. I'm up 1 game into a Darius, and Darius is always interesting because he just gets out so many units, he creates so much pressure, but it's really just like getting him to gas out. Now game 2, he actually sides in Dravens, and the Dravens get a little out of control, especially since he gets to go first on that turn. And so I kind of like fall behind a little bit there, and he's able to close out the game, but it takes a while. And the other thing is like he's a great guy, but he was the play was very slow, and I think that into the tournament I didn't have the killer instinct or like kind of like will to usher him along. Like I was still going, like I still felt like things were going great for me, so like I wasn't pressuring it, and I kind of wasn't really realizing, because we get to game 3, and this was the only series I played all day that went to time. Every other series was done before time, like, and that was a separate thing which we'll talk about after. But basically I should have pushed him along, and I should have paid attention to the clock, because what happens is late in, like a little bit into the game 3, at the end of my turn, the clock runs out. So I'm on turn 0 and I'm passing over. And so the clock, so he gets turn 1 instead of, and I lose my turn 0 essentially. So he basically kind of gets 3 turns and I only get 2. And if I was paying attention to the clock, I would have ended my turn quicker to end it so that I would have got the last turn. And because I didn't do that, what happens is I develop the Ari on board, but it's too late to get the points, and so I only really catch up, and he gets the last point on his last turn, and I can't break it because of his Draven. It gets a really strong hold, and so it's just really kind of a bummer because I lose my game 3, and it's an OT, and it's a thing that I could have prevented if I was a little bit savvier and I was encouraged the game to play out quicker. But the thing I like to take away from all of these games is to learn from them, and this is a great learning experience. I learned so much in this tournament, and we can talk about the learnings because it actually comes into fruition the very next game. The very next game I play a Leona player. So again, 4 matches, 4 unique champions that I'm going against. And the game 1, he keeps trying to blitz and pull my unit over. And I keep just either bringing the unit back to my hand with retreat, or kind of like battling out a little bit, or preventing him from killing my unit, or doing fun stuff like that. And he just kind of like treading water because he keeps just playing down the blitz. And eventually I get to a turn where I'm able to break it with a watcher, and he doesn't have enough to retake and stop me. So I win game 1. Game 2, he switches to yellow Leona, and he gets off to a really hot start, and his board control with how many stuns he had was like way too strong. I couldn't get in, and so I very quickly realized this, and you know what? I concede the game. I learned from last game. I conceded the game immediately. Went to game 3. Game 3 was really interesting because he played fortified position, and fortified position is the battlefield that when you play it, if a unit is on it, it gets 2 shield for the combat. I think that when you play very teched battlefields, sometimes it's worth actually just taking over their teched battlefield. And as an Ari player, like, I can use that battlefield to my advantage. There's certain people that are running that in their Ari decks. And for Ari, I was like, you know what? Like if you're gonna go and clear, I don't want you to put a stalwart Poro on that and I have to get through a 5 my unit, and you have stuns and all this time of stuff. I'm gonna go sit on with my stalwart Poro. So I go and I sit on this. I get my Ari luring in there. Like, I get a tank Yordle in there. Like, I'm just holding down, like, oh yeah, I'll play this game. And so then he gets out his yellow Leona, and he gets out an Eclipse Herald, and the Eclipse Herald comes in, and the Eclipse Herald gets buffed and readies when you stun. So he sends his Leona first into me, and he stuns my Yordle because he thinks I'm gonna I think he thinks I'm gonna buff up my Yordle or something. I don't remember exactly what he was thinking was gonna happen there. And when he does, I give the shield to course to my Ari, and I start pumping my Ari. And I just want to make sure that my Ari survives his Leona. The Eclipse Herald readies because of the stun, and it gets the buff. And so then he sends in and clears the other battlefield, and he uses the buff on the Eclipse Herald to cast Call to Glory and actually get that battlefield as a kind of surprise. And I'm like, well, you know what? And there was a point there where I was sitting there, I was like, I could try to defy it, but I actually want to save my gas because this Ari could survive now, has a real shot. So he sends in the Eclipse Herald, but he sends in the Eclipse Herald, and the Eclipse Herald now doesn't have the buff. It gets the -1 from attacking into me. I have shield again, and I buff this Ari up to over 8. I think I get her up to 10 or something like that. And he, even with his buffs, can't clear it. So Ari holds, I get the hold, time warp the next turn, Bob's your uncle, win that game, and beat the Leona player. But Leona can be a scary matchup, so happy to get through that. But again, we get through Leona. So then we're up 3-1, feeling good. And we hit our first Kaisa. And our first Kaisa, the dude's super chill, very not high energy, very low, mellow energy. And game 1, I played what felt like a really good game. We're playing back and forth. I windwalled his falling star that he was trying to use to break early on. And just at the last moment, he just keeps finding better cards, and he takes game 1. Game 2, I get into a really good position. I get into a winning position, and I just misplay it. Basically, I have a Watcher and 2 units. I think it was a Sprite Mother and a Ravenbloom student, and he has a Noxus Hopeful on one base and a Watcher that he used to clear on the previous turn on the other base, and he has 2 energy open, and this is game 2. So I figure he's probably sighted in smoke screens, and so I'm thinking that if I just swing him with my Watcher into his Watcher, he'll smoke screen and clear. So I have to send another unit, and I just kind of get tunnel visioned in on clearing the Watcher for some reason. And really what I should have done is been okay, if I guess right through that smoke screen, how can I solve this? And if I had gone to that point, the correct play is I send the Ravenbloom into the Noxus Hopeful, which is now 1 power, and he either loses there or he uses the smoke screen. If he uses the smoke screen there, then I just attack in with my Sprite Mother there again. I win, and then I swing in or and capture there, and then I swing in with the Watcher now that won't be smoke screened, and I just clear his Watcher out. And I don't do that. I swing in with the Watcher and another unit into his Watcher. He just doesn't smoke screen. Smoke screens on the other side. We trade, and then he does time warp shenanigans to win the game, and I feel like poop. So, like, very tough way to lose, but again, a really good lesson because I use that later in the game too when evaluating closing out positions with Watchers to better just like make sure that I'm doing the right math, that I can bait out answers if he has them or they have them. Or so. Anyways, so I go to 3-2. I hear a lot of people around me like dropping, but my goal is the best of Ari, and I'm like, you know what? If I put together a run, I put together a run. And so I go up against a Teemo, and it's a solid game back and forth, but I win that 2-0. I basically had watched Prismatic all the like previous weekend or previous days. Like he streamed himself playing in an online tournament, and I just watched him play. So I pretty much figured out all the Teemo tricks, what to watch out for, get the win on to that one. And then I face another Annie player, and it was probably the best. I mean, I think he was a really good player, definitely really experienced. But even then, I'm still able to close him out 2-1. Very similar things where I feel like I can brawl with Annie a little bit better than Kaisa, because the problem when you brawl with Kaisa is if you're spending runes, she's not spending runes, and so she gets the rune advantage. And with Annie, when you cancel out some of her spells, she still has to pay the costs. And so you're kind of on an even footing still, where Kaisa, you have to play a little bit more of a clean game and find cleaner advantages. You can't just, gas yourself early. So anyways, I get through Annie. I'm now 5-2, feeling good. Go to the next round. I'm against a Master Yi, and play against him. I feel great into Master Yi. He has a 2-drop early, but I'm able to get around it, and the rest of the backup just like doesn't really come fast enough. And I'm just drawing really well, getting card advantage and overwhelming with it. And I get a clean 2-0. Felt super great into that matchup. And so now I'm sitting here and I'm 6-2, and I've been looking around at the tables, and I do see one other Ari player, and he has a draw, and he ends up with 2 losses. So he's 5-2-1, and I'm 6-2. So I'm currently a half a game ahead of him. And so I go into round 9. I'm like, I can do this. Like, I can be the best of Ari if I win this next game. And for sure. And even if I lose this game, if he also loses, then I'm still ahead of him. So I'm in the driver's seat. So right now, round 9 comes out, and round 9, they pair us all together, and then we sit down to play, and I'm across from my opponent, and I'm actually feeling pretty good into my opponent. Like I have some chats with him, but I'm just like, I'm feeling good. Everything's going great. Like, I'm going to crush this game. I'm going to win this best of Ari. And they stop us all. And they're like, hey, we're going to repair. And I'm like, oh no, here we go. All right, let's repair. So they repair everybody, and I get a different opponent. So I stand up and I move, and I'm heading up back towards the top tables. And I go and look at the matchup thing, and I look, and I'm like, I kind of recognize this name. Why do I recognize this name for some reason? And I sit down, and I'm like, hey, are you Ryan at F&M Miles? And the guy's like, yeah. And I was like, where do I know you from? He's like, oh, I play a lot of card games. So he's like a designer I think he's a designer on Star Wars Unlimited, and he top forward at the Vegas tournament the previous weekend. So he's a good player, a good Kaisa player. Well, and the funny part is in the interviews, he was like, I'm going to play Kaisa here because I want to win for the money, but I'm going to play something else and go for the best of prize. And so I'm expecting, oh, well, maybe he's going to best. No, he's playing Kaisa. So good player on Kaisa in round 9. And I'm just like, oh man, he stands between me and my dreams. And so I'm going to dig deep. And so game 1, we get into the weirdest situation that I haven't been in, which is he falling stars 2 of my units, and I have double retreat in hand. And I'm like, do I just retreat 1? Or do I double retreat? And so I double retreat, because then he has a Kaisa, and I think he had a Pouty Poro. And I'm like, oh, well, he'll probably do one to the Pouty Poro, one to the Kaisa, but he doubles into the Pouty Poro and actually retreats the Pouty Poro as a way to kind of save it and get a rune back. But I gained 2 runes and on my turn, so I'm kind of ramping. But the problem is that was still 2 cards to do that. And the rest of my hand, isn't really, I don't have anything to really punch with that high of getting those extra runes. I can develop, but I don't have a really strong haymaker that I'm getting off the back of this. And, my hand kind of draw isn't very good. And it just kind of ends up being in a spot where he just, outplays me. And, I lose game one and I'm starting to feel bad. And before this round two, I'd also like to say, like, like one of the things that I haven't played in a major tournament in 15 years. I don't know. Like it's been a long time since I've played any serious tournament or competitively in a TCG until Riftbound started coming out. And so we're every round is like 50 minutes, but then like a lot of rounds are going to OT, and the OT time it's like taking like somewhere up to like an hour sometimes for the OT and the match results and the brackets to come out to go for your next match. And so it's like we're like 13-14 hours in. Was not prepared for this. Like I was circling in round 9 to find some water to drink it. I'm like in this like weird flow state, but also like a little bit delirious, but I've been winning, so I feel good. And now I'm in this state and I'm realizing that I'm going into game 2 and I'm realizing like I'm kind of cooked. Like I like mentally, like just like my play process, like I'm just not playing well. And thankfully, like Ryan was like he was a super cool dude. He let me take back. I think there's one thing I was confused on. He let me take it back or whatever because my brain's not working. And I'm just like, I'm bummed. And I'm like, and so I get through and I lose. And he was super awesome to play against him. But I lose and I'm like, man, I might have blown the best of Ari. And, I got to go watch this match and see what's going on with this match. And I get up and I turn to my left and he's standing there and he's just chilling. And I'm like, oh no. And I look and I go over to him like, hey, how'd your game go? And he's like, oh yeah, my opponent didn't even show up. so I get top 4 Vegas winner Ryan F. and Miles, and he gets a no-show to overtake me and get the best of Ari, which, like that's just how it works. Like the way the tournament works, how you win, who the opponents you can get. It's a large field. Who knows if I had won a game here, there, or who he had to place. And, when it all shakes out, like I really wish he would have had to play a game and I didn't have, at the finish line and I wasn't the only one, but, like congratulations to him. He still was able to fight through the field and I just happened to come up short. And, I learned a lot from this tournament and I'll be back. I'll be back gunning for that prize again in Vegas, maybe in Bologna. I don't know. But we'll have to see when tickets come out, if they're purchasable, whatever happens. But I'll be trying my best to get in there and redeem myself. But if you want to check out about anything about my deck, I did a whole deck review and everything on specifically my Ari deck and changes I would make and all sorts of stuff. And so, yeah, so that's my day 2 wraps up. Go back a little bit bummed, but proud of myself also for how well I performed, given the fact that I haven't played competitive TCGs. I didn't get to grind as much as I would want to prepare for something like this. And so I was proud of how I performed overall. Now, day 3 came around. I was gassed from day 2. And I get up and I get into the hall. I signed up for like a sealed event. I do well in the sealed event. But basically I just go around, I get some extra footage, say hi to some people. And my girlfriend and I just basically are like, let's just go grab food, enjoy a little bit of Houston, and we'll go and we'll watch the finals from the hotel room or whatever. And so we go do that. And, congrats to Diwali. Diwali ends up winning on Annie. Great spoilers, spoilers. But, props to him. He played a very clean game, played really well. His opponent was part of Challenger TCG, which those dudes are super awesome. Some of them are local to me up here in Washington. So it was cool to see that one of them kind of made it up to the podium and fell at the end on Master Yi, but he also got best of Yi. And so, yeah, like it was a great event, great broadcast. And overall, I think for a first event, absolutely amazing. I'm really happy I went. It was super awesome, but there were like a few things that obviously could be improved upon. I think first things that kind of jump out in my mind is definitely the security. There should have been like a riot event person that was kind of leading that. There's venue security, but I think there should have been someone that like owned that more solidly and had more of a ear to the ground, that knew that there was going to be a Black Friday situation in the morning. And so they, to their credit, they made a change that on day 3, they actually changed it to a raffle so that people weren't rushing in, and that at like 11 a.m. or something, they would start sending you emails, and if you qualified and you had tickets, you could go buy a metal card. So that was great. So it was good pivots, but I think that they could have had someone that owned that more clearly, more firmly. And then also prepped the security guards so that they were letting the correct people through, because really they weren't looking at badges. They were just doing the security checks and that was it. Like your badge didn't really matter. So all that happens. And I think the other thing is like tournament wise, I think that it's tough when your overtimes are taking as much time as the whole round is supposed to take. And I think that that needs to be fixed in a few ways. I think that 5 turns is just a lot. That's like it's a lot of time that's being used for that. So it either needs to be timed, you need to reduce the turns. I think that when it got smaller numbers and they were able to put judges at each table to kind of encourage people along, it went a lot quicker. The problem is like that's a manpower issue. You only have so many judges that can actually sit there and do that, like that are good enough to be the judges, especially this early in the game. And a lot of people are new, and so stuff is slow. But I think that you can't have 50-minute rounds and then like an hour to get the next round going. And that just like start of the day was really rough. And then as the pool thinned, then it became easier, more manageable. But there just needs to be more thought put in there of limiting either the OT turns or the time, putting an actual time limit on it to force people on, as well as like people reporting. Like there's a lot of people that would just like not report their scores. I think just need to be more firm that like if you don't report your stuff and you don't make sure and confirm it, then it's on you, and we, you know, we'll just give you both a loss or a draw or whatever. Next up, I think pricing. So pricing wise, I think that the MF promos, I think they're fine. Like a lot of people don't like them, and yes, they aren't like super crazy like promos. Like they're not like over number promos, like, which is kind of what it feels like for other card games. So I get when people say that like the MF promo doesn't feel amazing. It kind of feels like that. However, like the Ari Alluring promo is a very expensive promo and a valuable promo, but it's, you know, it's just the same. It has a little promo logo and, you know, different foiling. I think it's okay. Misfortune is kind of the mascot, and like it's fine, but I obviously they can make something cooler for the future. But as a first pass, like I'm not gonna pressure them on that. I think the metal cards are very cool. However, they are too cool to only have like 35 of each legend. Maybe it's a scaling issue. Maybe like they made a bunch and they're doling them out across all their events or whatever like that. But I would say give them to premium competitor badges would be good, or let them choose, like make like 100 of each and then let premium competitors come in. They can choose when they come in and turn in their badge. And then, or you give them to the top, you know, people that get 5 or more wins or 6 or more wins, whatever you wanted to put it as. Those people get a metal card of the champion that they won with. I think that would be really cool as like a secondary kind of like chase prize for people that are playing off meta decks. And then for the top 64, I think pretty much universally it's felt this way, is that if you make the top cut, then you should win something. You should like a little bit of cash, a box, a promo, whatever, a metal cards. You should get something for making the top cut. And the fact that people made day 2 and if you lost round 1, you got nothing, just feels really bad. So hopefully that is a thing that also gets cleaned up and changed for the future. I also think they could probably tweak some stuff with like, you know, with Swiss, they had one big day of Swiss that was 14 hours, you know, split that over Friday and Saturday instead of having it all in Saturday. Probably would have been good. I know that some people like want to have, you know, some TCG players want to have the tighter schedules, but like I say just, you know, just make it like use your days more wisely. And it would have felt a lot better. People are playing their best game, because if people are like tired and you're playing for 2 hours per round, is that, you know, you're playing an hour, you're waiting an hour, then like it just wears on people mentally, and so they aren't playing their best game, and it makes it harder to play. And I'm proud that I made it through all the way till round 9 before that stuff really started to hit me bad. But yeah, overall I think the venue was great. The rioters that I met there were, you know, some of the ones that I used to work with that was really cool to catch up with them. But also just in general, the staff, the judges, everyone was just a really good vibe. And shout out to the manager that helped me get the metal Ari card. My girlfriend said she would have cried if I didn't get it. Actual tears. And yeah, it was just great to meet all the players that I've seen online, I've seen on streams, and get to actually meet them in person. And yeah, I think that like it was probably my favorite TCG event that I've been to ever, easily. And I can't wait to go to Vegas. So yeah, I hope that this sheds some more light on at least on my experience there and how awesome it was, and you enjoyed some of the footage and sharing some of the cool swag and stuff I got. But yeah, if you want to know more again about my deck again, it's going to be a separate video. I'll link it down below. And if you have any questions about the event or things that you heard, you can put it down in the comments. I'm happy to answer that. But yeah, anyways, remember, you're going to be amazing today because you are amazing. And I'll catch you next episode.